Honey, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Again? Just where are you going?
Where are you going? You're not going to the bar again, are you?
You like hanging out, drinking beer at the bar, talking sports? Come on out and join us weekly. Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, your podcast for just that. Hanging out, drinking some beer, talking sports.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is your local fill-in wannabe hanger rebel taking over for the podcast tonight. He's out of town, and so welcome to Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. My goal tonight is to not let it go off the rails too far, but anybody that knows me well enough knows that, yeah, it's going to go off the rails, and that's okay. Tonight we are broadcasting to you from Papa's Tony's Pizza, who's gracious enough to allow us to come in and have some, what's your expression?
Cold beer.
Cold, tasty cold beer, or whatever it was.
That'd be an old cold beer.
So we'll go around the table here, a few introductions, and then we'll jump into what was one hell of a football week last week. So to my right, tell you who you are, because I can't remember all y'all's crazy names, especially one to my right, because he got like 45
Mountain
of them.
Mama?
Mountain Mama, Mountain Man, all kinds of
Mountaineer.
sorts. So do your thing, man.
Man, it was a good weekend of college football. I think Vanderbilt surprised all of us a little bit. But I did read something today. I didn't realize, everybody's talking about, DeBoer losing to Vanderbilt and everybody missing Saban. Kirby Smart, in his first year at Georgia, lost to Vanderbilt, 17-16 at Vanderbilt. So maybe there's something to be said for great coaches that lose to Vanderbilt, or like Nick Saban losing to ULM in his first season at Alabama. So we'll see.
So what's your take on it over there?
What's going on Alabama?
Anything, man.
Alabama, Vanderbilt. So the key thing in that game was time of possession for Vanderbilt. They did what they had to
42
do to keep the ball out of Alabama's hands.
And this Chopper, by the way. Again,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
struggling with names.
That's right. I'm drinking a Michelob Ultra.
So, Cheeks, what was your take the first day? We're going to come back around to that game.
So I had a great Saturday watching. We ate chicken bites and
Chicken butt.
chicken bites.
Oh, sorry. I'm deaf, by the way.
And Krispy Kremes, and drank a lot, and enjoyed really good football. Because anytime, anytime you can watch all the big ones fall, because the bigger they are, the harder they fall, right?
No doubt. No
That was
doubt.
awesome. It was a great weekend for football. I really enjoyed it.
So what you got, brother?
So this is the Chief. I just think it was a pretty amazing weekend. We had so many good games. I mean, Texas A&M to me started it off. They were indestructible in the first half. They set the tone for the rest of the day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you saw that game, and then it was kind of like, oh, that's fun. You had no idea what was coming.
Yeah.
And and then realistically, it should have been another upset because Miami should have lost as well. And, I mean, so the thing that this is, conspiracy theories are half-time crazy anyway. There's a lot of folks out there saying that the NCAA is trying to rig this stuff to prove they should have gone to this playoff system. Because take all that garbage off the table. These teams that lost still have a chance. That's the beauty of this new system. You went out, you still were there. It doesn't matter that you take one loss. Now, granted, Alabama's the Vandy, man. That's a bad loss. But I mean, not the biggest upset loss, but is there a more embarrassing loss that you can think of in recent history than Vanderbilt beating?
Oh, I mean, Michigan, Appalachian State.
That's not embarrassing, though. That's a huge upset.
At the time, take us back in time.
We'll take you back in time. My thing is this: with App State winning that, they had just come off winning 2 national championships, even though it was at the FCS level. Take nothing from that. But Vanderbilt, they are the doormat. They've never done anything to even remotely think.
They've had some good teams.
They
They've had
haven't
some
beat
strong
Alabama.
competitive teams.
They're competitive, but they don't ever finish.
Not teams that beat number 1 Alabama.
Yeah.
teams.
But I hear you. But that's a bad conference loss. Vanderbilt is still SEC. Appalachian State. Now, we look back at it now. Appalachian State's a giant killer, yada yada.
No, at that time though, they were
right, but
the little guy on the block.
If you ask a Michigan fan and an Alabama fan who's more embarrassed, the Michigan fan would have to be more embarrassed.
I will tell you, if I could pull up the picture real quick, we don't have the time. Was my college roommate sent me a picture the other week. He was working in Detroit, had an afternoon off, drove down to Ann Arbor, stood outside the main gate with his App State shirt on and cheese, and then went in a coffee shop with all his gear on and just sat there and drank coffee for 45 minutes just to poke the bear. He said, the looks I got, he goes, yeah, it's still fresh and it still hurts. I was like, that was the greatest story I heard all weekend.
He's lucky he didn't get beat.
I mean, there's been some other embarrassing losses. I mean, look, me personally, y'all probably may not remember this as much, but in 2007, which was a crazy. 2007 was kicked off by that Appalachian.
Yeah, it was. That was the first game
It
of the
ended with Pitt beating West Virginia. West Virginia, all they had to do was beat Pitt, and they were playing in the national championship
Yes.
venue.
Yes.
That was an embarrassing loss. It was a conference loss, but it was embarrassing. So there's been a bunch of them out there. Every fan base has their own embarrassing.
Wasn't there one with Auburn and Alabama when the ball was run all the way back?
That's not embarrassing.
That's not embarrassing.
though.
That's just bad luck.
That same year, thinking of
That's just
2007.
normal win.
Yeah.
2007, also 3 weeks after the App
normal.
State upset. James Madison beat a number 12 ranked Virginia Tech that same year. It's the second time a FCS team had beat a ranked team.
This year is a lot like 2007. It is a little crazy.
I agree.
Well, but it's crazy because NIL is making, and the portal, between the two, we've just converged on, teams are a little more even than they ever have been.
Oh, the parity's there. What you're seeing, though, unfortunately, is you're seeing some very competitive group of 5 schools are getting gutted every year. They're getting gutted every year because anything that they've got is talent. Like I said, I mentioned last week, Appalachian State's running back got pulled to Missouri because he was recruited by Drinkwitz, and he rushed 2 weeks ago for 199 yards. We would love to have those yards back on the mountain, but we don't. And you can see the skeleton shell of a team we have right now because of the transfer portal and people chasing money. So, I mean, this is such a moving target with NIL, with the playoff system and everything going on. I don't know. There's got to be some structure to it because right now it's the Wild West. Yeah. So,
do you think there'll be a breakaway of the major conferences before they structure it to where it's fair for everybody in the?
I've said first and foremost, I feel like the NCAA falls. That's why they're going to super conferences. The super conferences are going to control all the TV rights. They're going to be the ones getting all the sponsorships, and they're going to tell the NCAA to go stick it. If you think back in past years, at once upon a time, AAU was the regulating body of college basketball. Now it's Summer League, right? The NIT used to be the premier basketball tournament before the NCAA tournament came around. So it's not unprecedented for the NCAA to lose power. I think that happens, and then from there, who knows? Who absolutely knows?
Yeah, they lost power when the Bowl Alliance in 1999 came around. That's when they lost power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So quick looking back to some of these games, we've already kind of talked about the Mizzu A&M game.
You see his food? I'm so distracted.
It looked like a good meatball.
I thought it was just gonna be a couple meatballs.
But if you talk about Mizzu, Texas A&M, I think I picked A&M to win that game, if I'm not mistaken. But
They were hot.
I think I did. But the thing is, Mizzu got rolled. I mean, it's not that they lost; it's they got destroyed. And there was a lot of people saying Mizzu was a playoff team. They were going to win the SEC this year based off of what they did. And again, that was embarrassing. I mean, granted, it wasn't Alabama embarrassing, but 28-0 at halftime, I think.
But do you think some of it was because this was their first road game of the year?
No, I think it's because they are not the team everybody's trying to advertise, and then you go on the road. Texas A&M, hard place to win anyway.
Yeah.
But
You think this is the same Texas A&M team we see throughout the remainder of the year?
No. I think they're erratic as anybody else. I think they're going to win a game they shouldn't, and they're going to lose a game that they should win.
They just got their quarterback back. That's something.
He looked really good.
He looked real good.
They were talking about leaving him on the bench, and he came in and looked fantastic.
I think you're going to see. I think Texas A&M is a lot stronger. I'm not saying they're going to win the SEC, but I do think they're a lot stronger than everybody's giving them credit.
They have a favorable
flip
record,
side,
a favorable schedule too.
Missouri is not as bad as they looked against A&M,
No.
right?
I don't know.
They've looked bad.
I mean,
every day.
when you're not scoring,
Vanderbilt should have beaten them.
Baldwin College, Vanderbilt, both.
Vanderbilt should have had them beat. So,
you're right because it was that close. You were right.
but so looking at the Oregon-Michigan State game, I mean, Oregon's showing they can control games in the line of scrimmage, but they went ugly, man.
Oh, they just they're like, we're in control.
We're going to find out Saturday what kind of team Oregon is.
Yep.
That's the test. I mean, if they play like that against Ohio State, they may lose bad.
I think
they just can't be slow. They can't. Dylan Gabriel's turned the ball over in the red zone 4 times this year, I believe. That's a lot.
Well, the thing you see with Oregon is they've had some pretty good defenses in the past, but they used to chuck the ball around. They're used to running the thing up 40, 50, 60 points. They are just winning sloppy. They're playing Big Ten football all of a sudden, and it's just disgusting.
Big Ten and Pac-12 are two totally different.
Well, and Dylan Gabriel, I'm not saying he's overrated, but he is not.
He is overrated. Every time he gets into the red zone, he starts overreacting and loses his stuff.
Remember at Oklahoma, he had some sloppy going at Oklahoma last. And UCF, he was decent at UCF, but he's erratic. I mean, he's not. He's not the heir apparent to Bo Nix at all.
No, but to give Oregon a little bit of credit, even though they're winning sloppily, they're finding a way to pull it out and win ugly games.
But
and
they're
at the
going to
end
be
of the
playing
day,
Ohio State.
I'm not arguing that.
No.
But the thing is this, it's kind of like Jim Valvano, win in advance. It don't matter how you win, just win. At the end of the year, they're going to see your record. They're not going to remember how you got there.
And remember, I mean, it's kind of like the way Washington did things last year, right? They were sloppy except for 2 games, and that was both times they played Oregon. They beat them like a drum both times.
It's true.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe Oregon comes out and gives Ohio State a fit. I mean,
It's at Oregon.
It's at Oregon.
I'm thinking it's going to be Oregon for the win.
It could be. I mean, I think it's a toss-up, but we'll see what kind of team Oregon is.
Well, then add to the fact too, you always throw in all the X factors in this. Ohio State hadn't played anybody yet. They really haven't had a game to where they've had a team legitimately that can push them. So you just don't know how they. See, honestly, I've said this many times. Looking at their schedule, the best thing to happen to Ohio State is to lose this game, because you say, "Oh, we had to go to Eugene. Eugene. Now they can fix what they need to fix.
Yep.
I mean, to me, they are very Tennessee-esque right now. They hadn't played anybody, and then Tennessee played a team that's a good old school
They got
SEC
awakening.
football, and they got exposed a little bit. And I was on the Tennessee train. I'm not off of it yet, but they better get. They
You
better.
weren't the only one. I think all of us picked Tennessee.
They better coach those boys up.
That
Let's
was
put it
a
to you
game.
like that.
I picked Tennessee, but thought long and hard.
Yeah.
Nighttime in Fayetteville is not easy. But you know, Tennessee, we weren't sure the way they played Oklahoma. Their offense didn't do much, and we kind of credited Oklahoma and said, well, they ran the ball, they didn't throw the ball. There might be some problems there on offense if they can't get started fast.
We gonna get to them. We getting ahead of ourselves. Alabama Vandy. We've touched on that quite a bit.
Oh my God.
That's going to be the story of the year. I don't really care how this thing shakes out. I tell you personally, I'd love to see Vanderbilt win out. Next thing you know, make a playoff, and here we go with our chaos.
Oh,
right?
that would be great.
I was talking to Cheeks before the year. Both my teams are dreadful this year, in my opinion. I want chaos. That's what I want. I just want it to be. I want it to be
Chaos is
fun.
fun.
I want to see
Yeah.
some upsets. I want to see something that
weekend
nobody
was
saw.
fun.
Question, does Alabama lose another game this year, in your opinion?
Oh, yeah.
Not this weekend.
No. Do they lose another game this year?
Yeah.
I think
Remind
so.
us about this
I
weekend.
think so.
I think so. Yes.
I mean, I
think
think-
I go to Tennessee. That's going to be a tough one. I mean,
And I'm telling you what, whether we like it or whether we don't, Auburn's showing life. I wouldn't want to play them that last game of the year. I mean, Alabama should blow them out on paper, but again, that's a rivalry game.
Right.
Where's it at this year? Is it in Tuscaloosa?
yes.
Okay, so that helps their cause a little bit.
But Hugh Freeze seems to have magic against Alabama.
But we hold on to the ball, we'll be fine. We just can't hold on to the ball.
Yo, no doubt. The thing I always loved about Vandy was them carrying that. Somebody was like, "Oh, let's put through the goalpost in the river." I'm like, "This
God.
isn't like Knoxville. The river's
they had to
across
go
the
3
street."
miles.
They said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Vanderbilt to Broadway is a hike." I didn't know it was 3
Yeah.
miles. I thought it was like a mile and a half. And they said, "It's 3 miles." They walked that goalpost. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to carry a goalpost. That's like trying to carry a herd of elephants. I don't care how many people you have and how they didn't break cars and windows and everything
Yeah.
else. Granted, the police
But they had
escort
all
probably
that
helped.
adrenaline. They were so excited.
I mean, now what I do find funny though is so the SEC, if you rush the field, it's a $100,000 fine, and it goes up every time after that. So that's Vanderbilt's, and all the years they've been, that's their first $100,000 fine. Compared to Arkansas, they're paying $300,000 this
Yep.
week. So,
Yep.
And there's probably one donor who covered it.
well, no, what they're doing for Vanderbilt is basically at Vanderbilt is they took the goalpost, they chopped it up, they're selling all pieces of it to
For
raise the
NIL.
money to
Yeah.
pay the fine.
Oh, I thought it was for NIL.
No,
okay.
to pay the fine so that they could pay off what they owe for rushing the field.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right, let me get back. My phone locked up on me here. Okay, so now we're moving on to Tennessee, Arkansas. That game, look, if you're a Tennessee fan, that game was disgusting to you from day one. I've talked to a lot of Tennessee fans. I have a lot of them around me. This does not look like the same Tennessee team that played the first 3 weeks of the season where they were just getting all around it. Now, somebody made a valid point because I watched them in passing. I'm like, turn Nico loose and let him throw the ball. And they said in the first 3 games they established their pass via the run, and they have not been able to rush the ball against these defenses. And now they're not allowed to open him up. And then he's a young quarterback who's missed some open receivers. Apparently their OC has changed because they do. I asked Josh Heupel call the plays. And they said another thing the OC does. This is a different OC, and I'm telling you. You can see all the talent. You can watch them. They're off right now. They're a little bit off. I don't know what it is, but they better get it fixed, or they're going to struggle with some really good teams. And they've got enough talent on that to make some noise in the playoffs.
Well, I think you said something earlier about Ohio State might need to lose that game to Oregon. Maybe Tennessee need to lose this game to wake them up a little bit.
Well, very much so. Very much so. I mean, we're going to find out what happens when the
Yeah.
big boy comes to town.
Because like we said a couple weeks ago, Tennessee is real men playing. They are tough. They are
Yep.
big. They're fast. They're a good team.
Arkansas is underrated. Arkansas's played a couple of tough games already and come close.
Well, they blew
to it.
that. They blew that monstrosity lead against Oklahoma State.
Right.
They had them
Yes.
beat and they blew it.
Yeah.
Well, this past weekend, the 5 teams that we're focusing on right now, all the big, scary stuff that happened, they didn't score in the fourth quarter. 3 or 4 of them didn't score in the fourth quarter. They got shut out.
So what you see with really good teams that now get late in games and are not used to playing under pressure, they don't know what to do.
Right.
The players don't know what to do.
Right.
The
They all
coaches,
folded.
the coaches don't know how to call the game. And so basically, they are basically at that point. Then they don't know what to do. They freeze, for lack of a better term. They're the deer in headlights. And I think that's what you've seen this week a lot. Again, could this be what catapults them to be successful down the road? Absolutely.
Well, is there something to be said for playing like Tennessee Tech and Little Sister of the Poor for the first 3 or 4 games of the season, then you finally play somebody?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Tennessee put 70
you're
points.
right.
So
on
you
bad
got to
teams.
keep in mind. So my thoughts on that, I had this conversation too, was those schedules were made years ago. So they need to honor those schedules. Now that you're moving to where you can lose a game or two and still be relevant, I think you're going to see those teams playing less and less and less. You're not going to see the big boys playing FCS schools anymore.
Yeah, why pay them?
and risk a really bad loss, right? Because you can now schedule all these high-profile teams lose 2 games, and it's not in your conference. I mean, think about it. You could lose 3 non-conference games, go win your conference, a la Clemson, a la Miami, and still get in the playoffs because you've won your conference, right?
Well, Texas A&M is one right now that they've got 1 loss, right?
Yeah.
And that was Notre Dame. So they're undefeated in the SEC right now. So, that's an example of a team that can.
And Notre Dame's got a loss to NIU.
And I don't think they've won a game since, have they?
I don't think so.
I don't think they have.
They lost to State barely.
No, I don't think they've won a game since they beat Notre Dame, or maybe they've won 1. They've
Really
lost.
Illinois, I'm not sure
I think
they
they've
have.
won 1 and lost 1 since then.
Let's talk about coaches that are about to lose their job.
So, moving on, Michigan and Washington.
Okay.
I mean, I think we all agreed Michigan was not the same team they had last
No.
year for a multitude of reasons. When you got information coming about everybody else, that always helps you, but that's a conversation for another day. Washington, I thought was going to be a down year this year, and they've kind of put it together. But both of those teams, because Washington has a bad loss too, so does Michigan, they've got to win out, and I don't see either one of them winning out.
I don't know that. Washington has a loss, but I wouldn't call it a bad loss. I mean, Rutgers is pretty respectable team.
And they lost this week too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Nebraska. Yeah,
Rutgers,
To your
that wasn't a blowout.
no, it was close. But I mean, Washington's a better team than Michigan. Michigan's a quarterback away. If they had a quarterback, they would be dangerous.
And so my question is, how do they go with as much money and not go buy a quarterback? I mean, that's what everybody's doing right now.
I don't know what happened there.
I don't know. Their biggest problem that they had on Saturday was Tuttle, was the backup quarterback, because in the fourth quarter he was intercepted and he fumbled, and they scored off of both of those mistakes.
But they benched Orgy for him.
That's because DJ
So-
Alphabet wasn't available.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh,
Did
God.
you see the sign? It basically
Yes,
at
they-
FSU
take him
that said,
back.
will you Clemson please take him
Take him
back?
back.
I was like, my goodness. So, to your point is, and I think we've seen some of this at all levels to where they're now throwing NIL money around, including my alma mater. It's like Nick Saban says. He says, you get a $15 million payroll and it ain't a good one, you're screwed. Because you're stuck. You're spending money on people. Florida State right now is screwed because they're paying for a quarterback that is not a good quarterback.
What is the vetting process on these players to tell whether or not you're getting that or not getting that? You know what I mean? Golly, it's a
you
gamble,
can look at
right? It's a gamble.
Well, my thing is you look at DJ Alphabet, look at the body of work. Clemson, he was awful.
Yeah.
Even though he did win an ACC championship.
He went 11-2, I think.
Yeah.
Look at the ACC.
Correct. That's my point. But then he goes to
He's in
Oregon
the ACC
State.
now.
Then he goes to Oregon State, and lo and behold, he looks like he's reincarnated. And so
Yeah.
Florida State wanted to pick Oregon State DJ and not
Yeah.
Clemson. And I don't even think they have Clemson DJ right now. I mean, he is dreadful.
I mean, he's out with a hand injury, and it may be college career ending because he may not be able to.
So I
come
guess
back and
the
play.
question is what kind of insurance policy does he have on his team?
Well,
I'm sure he does.
school and the players around you and the system that you're in make such a big difference.
Yep.
Would Bo Nix be in the NFL if he had stayed at Auburn?
No,
No.
absolutely.
Well,
But
the
he
other-
would have stayed at Auburn if he could. I
Well,
mean,
You're right, he would have.
But
But he
then-
would not be in the NFL.
And then the other thing is when you have these NIL players that you recruited in and now you're paying, you went and bought players. Let's just call it what it is. So when you go out and buy these players, the other thing you're assuming is you take these big personalities, and some of these kids are big personalities, that they're now going to mesh as a team and not trying to get mine so I can get to the league. And I think you're seeing some of that with Alabama. I think that's some of their problem. There's too much individual going on and not the team focus of, hey, what's the guy on defense that just showed his ass?
Oh, number 13?
Oh.
I don't know his name, but
That dude
The
was-
one who can machine gun anybody?
No, that was South Carolina.
This is Alabama kid threw a fit as
And he grabbed his face mask
Shoved
and
him
threw him
down
to
the
the
ground
ground.
and he kicked the ball away from
kicked the ball away from the
He
ref.
would not play this week if I'm the coach.
Oh, I
I don't
wouldn't
care
play
who
the
he
rest
is.
of the year.
He would not. You better set that. I would listen to talk radio. They basically said you better set a precedent now, or you will have all those kids start to show
Yeah.
their ass. You let him walk by doing that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guarantee you he was disciplined
Yeah.
after that.
I should
Absolutely.
never even thought of that.
So looking now at, I know Cheeks dreads this one.
Oh, God.
Southern Cal, Minnesota. I'm going to take a little credit. As I told you, every year Minnesota upsets a team they ought not win. They ought not beat. And this was the one. I thought it was going to be a different game, but it was this one.
They're never a Big Ten championship contender,
Even though they played for it last year with, 4 losses?
but you are absolutely right. That's the game you don't want to play. You just don't want to play.
No, it's like David
Minnesota.
and Goliath.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
and the thing is this: every Minnesota team is gritty. They don't have a bunch of stars, but they got a bunch of kids that are going to play hard. You don't have to worry; they're going to play hard. And if a few breaks go the right way, they get a turnover here and there. The next thing you know, they're late in the game. And like we said, you would think USC would perform because they got into a late game against LSU and were able to pull that one out.
Yeah, that was in Los Angeles.
But USC was winning through 3 quarters. They blew it in the 4th. They went with all unanswered points, and that's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, I mean, PJ. I don't like PJ Fleck. I can't stand him, but he gets the boys ready to play. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't take that away from him.
Yeah.
Row the boat. That's what he says, I guess.
Always rowed a boat, man. And I love that one year. They were actually really competitive. And I mean, that caught on. I love the row the boat. I mean, but that's what you're doing. I mean, if you think about it as a team, one man drops the oar, nobody knows. They all drop the oar, they do. I mean, that is such a great mantra to have in a team sport. I don't care what it is. Just grab your oar and row the damn boat.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I think you look at some of these bigger schools that have recruited and paid players to come in, they're not willing to grab an oar. They want the thing. I'm gonna stand
It's all about me.
I'm gonna stand at the front of the boat and you row the damn
About
boat.
me.
And so therefore you're seeing some of what you're seeing.
I'm going to say this, and you may disagree, but Swinney's starting to look better and better
No.
because he has got a team that he builds from the ground
No,
up.
but if Swinney plays in the SEC, they're not doing what they're doing. They're doing what they're doing in the ACC. I wish everybody had to build it the way he's doing it. What you're going to see is the refinement of when they recruit these players. They're going to start vetting them down to who's the girl they're dating and what their interests are.
Like the NFL does.
It's going to look like the NFL Combine where can this guy play with this guy or how are they going to mesh? I mean, right now they're throwing spitballs against the wall hoping they stick, and some are and some aren't. But yeah, it's
Now,
definitely
he's doing it
come.
the right way, and I agree with that. But he's not. He's eventually gonna get so much.
What's going to hurt Sweeney is he's developing those kids and turning them into football players, and somebody's going to come and buy them.
Poach them.
They're going to poach them.
Because the thing is this, Clemson has a good fan base. They are loyal.
They got great facilities.
They got everything. They don't have the pockets of a Michigan, of a Texas, of an Oregon. Hell, they don't have the pockets of a North Carolina when it really comes down to it. And you know what? I hope I'm wrong because what he's trying to hold on to is pure football, which is what I love. I don't like the environment we're in. I don't like minor league football, and that's what college is.
That's why Saban
And
retired.
you're a 5-star junior sitting behind a senior. Exactly what you just said is going to happen. Somebody's going to come
How about
poach
a
him.
6'7" sophomore in high school?
Sure.
I mean,
Already
quite
getting
frankly,
looks.
quite frankly, I'm shocked. It has to be the amount of money that Archie Manning stayed at Texas. It is only because of how much money they're putting into him.
He's a different situation. I mean, I'm sure he's getting NIL because he's Archie Manning, but he's also a Manning, and he knows.
He's got a legacy he's concerned about as much as his pocket. He don't need the money. Is what you're getting at?
No,
and he doesn't need to get hurt.
he don't need to get hurt. Yeah,
Well, let me tell you
he's
what.
probably going to go pro after 2 years anyway.
Now, is he done this year? Or is he
He's done this year.
Okay, so he's good now. He showed he can play the game.
He's going to get drafted too. So
Yeah. Well, they
He's going
said
to go this year. I would think he might be making enough in NIL.
no. He's going to come back to Texas.
I think he's going to play another year at Texas.
He comes back.
Ewers or Arch?
Arch.
Oh yeah, he's coming back.
Yeah, he'll come
Oh,
back.
he won't play his 4 years.
Oh.
He'll be done after 2.
Yeah.
No, but I thought you said Arch.
No, he's saying Ewers. He'll get drafted.
Oh, absolutely.
No,
So-
Arch will play his sophomore and junior, and he's out. Because he don't have to stay around for 4 years like Eli did.
Well, as Hanger likes to say, we can only look back for so long. And so now, that was a terrible impression, wasn't it? So he's down in Savannah down there trying to learn Geechee right now.
Savannah Bananas.
He's went to a Bananas game. Yeah, he caught a ball out. I heard he got the third out in the ninth inning because he caught a ball in the outfield.
yeah. That's cool.
Nah, I'm lying, but that'd be cool
No,
story.
but that is cool.
So
Don't let the truth get
in the way of a great story.
Yeah.
So before we get into our games, we're going to take a pause because Landon the Legend is going to make his picks right now. And let me tell you what, boys and girls, that little
He
man
is
is
the man
killing
with
it last 2
money
weeks.
on, yeah.
He went 0 for the first week, and I think if you take that week off, he's crushing everybody
I'm
right
gonna
now.
start
Yeah.
taking my picks based
Now I
on
will say
him.
I listened to his picks beforehand. He's got one. That if the kid was older, I still he's smoking crack, but he is only 4 years old, so that's kind of not an appropriate thing to say. But if it happens, we'll all be dancing around the city.
Too many
Put it
juice
like
boxes.
that.
Too many
That's it.
juice
He had too
boxes.
much juice before he picked this week. So
much sugar.
here are Landon the Legend's picks, and then we're going to get to ours.
South Carolina, Texas, Oregon, Penn State, Tennessee, LSU, West Virginia.
All right, so there's the Legends picks, and I can tell you guys, if you're a betting man, that man's he is a bookie in waiting right now. He's a
not
handicapper
gonna lose money
because
on him.
right now you would be winning if you were outside of week 1. He had a little rough start to the season, but he's a late bloomer. And right now, you would be in the money if you play in that little man's pick. So moving on to this week's games, and we're going to do our picks this week. First up, the lowly South Carolina Gamecocks at Alabama. All right, so Mountain Mama, who you got in this game?
Well, it's a perfect storm. I feel sorry for South Carolina. They're going. I mean, usually history shows when a good team loses a bad game, and they have a home game following up, they pound the next team that comes in. And South Carolina looked South Carolina looked horrible against Ole Miss. They made some dumb decisions early in that game that cost them. But Alabama by a couple hundred.
You got Chopper.
Yeah, this one's not going to be pretty. Like I just said, Alabama will make 0 mistakes this week. It'll be hard for South Carolina to score this week, in my opinion.
Chief.
I went Alabama. It's going to be an embarrassing game.
Chief.
Alabama.
So here's what I was going to point out to this. Oh, it's Alabama. And it pains me to say that because South Carolina takes a lot of my money right now. But guys, think about this. They get LSU off a bad loss.
Oh,
They get Ole Miss off a bad loss. They now get Alabama off a bad loss. I'm like, it's like they should say we're playing the wounded dog. We're playing the wounded dog. Insert whatever name you want on this, and they're the sacrificial lamb right now. To be brutally honest with you, and look. I want to say it'd be a competitive game, this, that, and the other. I'm trying to convince myself of that based off of what we saw last week at home, and they had an opportunity on primetime TV to make a statement against, in my opinion, an Ole Miss team they could beat, and they looked terrible. They played terrible. They look. Beamer lost control of his players with some of the stupidity stuff that was going on at the end of that game. When you're getting your ass handed to you, you don't sit there and gloat on a sack. You get back to the huddle and do it again. They've got to rally back around and get back to what they did against. Because LSU, they look like a formidable opponent. They have not looked. They did not look good this week. So yeah, unfortunately, it's Alabama.
You fake a punt on the fourth play of the game in your territory.
No,
that's it.
No. Here's the thing. I don't mind the call because nobody saw it. I don't like the play call. If you basically are going to hand it to a fast guy, which they did, you run it off the edge to where if he can try to stretch the play 30 yards to the sideline to get that 1 yard, you don't run it up the damn middle where everybody is. My coach used to tell me you don't run to where the defenders are. So if you're going to be jinky and take that risk, and there's a lot of people that argue you shouldn't have, and I wouldn't argue against you shouldn't have, but if you're going to do it, that was a terrible play call.
Agreed.
So, think back. My phone keeps locking up on me, and I apologize.
Texas versus Oklahoma.
Thank you. Texas versus Oklahoma. Chief, who you got?
I got Texas. Texas looked real strong. They're coming off a bye week. It's the Red River. It's a big game.
Yeah, it's a big rivalry game. That always matters. Cheeks.
I went Texas too. I thought the same exact thing.
I got a feeling this week going to be a lot of continuity amongst our picks.
I think so too.
Yeah, Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Texas. Hook 'em horns.
Yeah, Texas. Yeah, I mean, they're just so good. And that's a weird start time for them. Instead of a noon start, I think it's a 3:15 start.
Yeah, they normally kick that. They normally start off the Saturdays, which, again, I'm not sure why they're doing. I guess just because
I think there's so many games going on this weekend.
So it's 2:15 Central.
Yeah.
Usually it's 11:15 Central.
Correct.
But, that doesn't matter. Texas.
I got Texas. I think it's going to be closer than people are going to give it credit for. I would not take the spread on this.
I want a good game.
The problem I've got with this is Oklahoma has not shown any remnants of an offense at all. They might can slow down Texas a little bit. They sure as hell ain't going to score on them. And that's the thing. You got to score some points to win. I mean, this game may end up being something like 17-14, 21. But, I mean, at 14, I think I'm being generous. I mean, Oklahoma's offense is dreadful. I mean, they're trying to give some NIL money to Baker Mayfield and tell him to come back for 6 months. I mean, Texas all the way. All right, so now Ohio State and Oregon. We've kind of had some. We might split on this game a little bit, unfortunately. Cheeks, who you got?
I went with Ohio. Of course, an hour ago I went with Oregon. So.
Okay, so you just said both teams. Who you got?
I'm sticking with Ohio. This is a tough one.
Mountain Mama, who you got?
So I'm going to sound like a giant hypocrite because I was waxing poetic about Oregon when I first came on this podcast. I've been taking up for them ever since. But God, man, I just feel like Ohio State's going to get them.
Yeah.
That offense is a juggernaut.
Ohio State.
Chief, who you got?
I got Oregon. It's at Oregon. Ohio State has traveled across the country. They're well matched. I think Oregon because they're at home.
It's not a bad pick. I mean, I can see. I wouldn't argue against anybody.
Spread's 3.
It's a spread 3.
Really, that's it?
It's close.
Who's favored?
I have to look at it again.
Ohio State, I'm sure, is favored. But a 3-point spread?
It's a close spread.
Shoot, I'm going to find a bookie and take that.
I just looked at it before I.
Ask Rooster for this.
My thing is this: again, we talked earlier. Ohio State really hasn't played a formidable opponent this year, and so they've looked really good. I think the game's close. I think it's sloppy, but I think Ohio State's athleticism will pull away late in the game. What's going to pull away now is, I mean, Oregon's really not been since the start of the season in the national championship conversation. They're very ugly winning games. Ohio State, everybody's real high on. Oh yeah, they're going to win the Big Ten. They're going to get in. They're going to do this, that, and the other. I mean, at some point that's going to kick in. I'm going to take Ohio State and just kind of wince at it because this may be some ugly slop, nasty game that isn't visually fun.
3.
So I'll take the Buckeyes.
Spread's 3 and over under 53.5.
I'll take the over, I think.
Yeah.
I'll take the over on that.
I'm thinking like 32-24.
Yeah. I'll take the over on that. Unless somebody knows something I don't know, but the boys in the desert always have a means to their madness, so you always got to respect it.
Yeah.
All right, Chopper, what you got? Penn State, USC.
Penn State.
Penn State. Cheeks, let's go to you because I know you're near and dear
Can
to
we
you.
skip that? I still haven't picked that one.
All right, we'll come back around.
Penn State.
Yeah, I think USC's
I really want to. I'm rooting hard for USC. I'm so pissed off at Penn State still, but I mean, Penn State's going to win like 21-7. It's going to be one of those.
So I'm going to take Penn State as well, but here's the thing. This is the type of game that Penn State shits the bed. This is the type of game where they have to travel cross country, and there's lots of data to show when you travel cross country, it affects you with the time changes, etc. So what time is that game? Do you have any idea?
I can find it real
It's a
quick.
later game.
But it's at USC?
It's at USC.
Oh,
It's
so
a
they
three-
benefit from
It's
it.
a 3:30 game.
So it's a 3:30
That's
game.
good.
So that's
Which is typically 6:30
so again.
for
So
them.
the later you get, the better the East Coast team has to win. Technically, that's a 12 o'clock kick for an East Coast team. I mean,
Well,
No, it's not. It's a 6:30.
it's the
You went the
game
wrong
will start.
direction.
The game's going to start.
I went the wrong way, you're right.
The game's will start 12:30 California time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which would have been
So
6:30 here.
No, 3:30.
3:30 here.
3:30
I thought you said
here.
the game started
It's
at
Eastern time.
3:30.
It's Eastern time.
Eastern time.
So it's going to be a
3:30.
12
I'm
o'clock
sorry.
kick
Okay,
out
gotcha.
there.
Not 3:30 California time.
Okay.
3:30 our time.
I'm going to take Penn State, but I say that one scares me of all my picks I'm going to do this week. That's the one that would concern me the most, just because, again, traveling across country and Penn State. Look, this is one of those years with this team. If Franklin don't get them in the playoffs this year, they may send him packing because they've had a ton of talent.
They're tired of mediocrity. You get to a certain point, but you don't go the next step.
I mean, they are loaded at wide receiver and running back, and you're not hearing nothing about them.
Correct.
I think it's Penn State. I think LA Coliseum is not the same as playing at a big school campus stadium.
That's a crappy stadium. It really needs.
It really
They
is.
need to demolish
Well,
it all over
The
again.
game's early enough that
Right.
it's not going to hurt Penn State. And I know this is a tiny little factor. The weather's going to be good where it's cool.
Yeah.
It's not going to be super hot the way it was 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles, and it's not cold. So they're not having a big weather change.
It's gonna be 78 degrees, no humidity, perfect.
So who you got, Cheeks?
I sucked it up and went Penn State.
There you go.
So is everybody Penn State?
Penn State.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Chief, who you got? Florida, Tennessee, at Tennessee.
Well, this was a really tough one.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't at all. It wasn't at all.
How does end up on the slate? Oh,
I wonder.
I wonder.
Can I just take everybody's guess?
Yeah, big orange.
Big orange,
big burnt orange.
big burnt
Not the other
orange,
orange.
big burnt orange. I'm telling you, they are going to. They're going to do the same thing that Alabama's going to do to South Carolina.
Yeah, they're going to send a message.
Let's just do what game day did when everybody picked the same. They just went to the next. Did you all see that? They didn't
yeah.
even go around the table.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
picked, let's
move
go
on.
to the next.
I mean, here's the thing: is I think Tennessee is going to try to embarrass them, and I think Tennessee's look. I think
They have
Tennessee's going to use Florida like a scrimmage. They're going to try to fix what they think is broken.
So Florida and South Carolina, I feel sorry for both.
Both. Yeah, I mean, it's going to
Yeah.
be ugly. Everybody table Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Ole Miss at LSU. Please tell me the time of that game.
Where is
It's
that
at
game?
LSU.
It's at LSU.
It's
7:30.
Oh
This
no!
seem
This
like-
is slam dunk. This game's over.
LSU.
LSU.
Yep.
I
agree.
I
It's
picked LSU too. Yeah.
LSU. Everybody.
Yeah.
Look, guys, it's one of those things. If you don't give two rips about LSU, if you haven't ever had the opportunity to go to an
7:30
LSU
game,
night
yeah.
game, it's one of those things you just have to see. You
Yeah.
have to be there. I would advise you to go and not root for the other team. Just go to taking the experience because they can get just brutal down there. So
I also think Ole Miss. Yeah, they beat up on South Carolina, but they're
not
not
that
number
good.
9 good.
And really, they only
Yeah.
scored 27 points. They probably should have scored a hell of a lot more than
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I thought the same thing the
Yeah.
whole time. I'm like, we
Yeah.
should have really lost by a lot
Yep.
more.
There's that. I've said my piece on Ole Miss. They're overrated.
Yeah, you love Lane Kiffin, don't you?
I don't mind Lane Kiffin. I just think they're overrated.
I'd still like to smash
I think they're a
some
number
mustard.
17 team, not a number 9
Right.
team.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Or-
Iowa State at West Virginia. Chopper, who you got? Ooh. I paused on this one too. I won't lie.
I didn't.
I paused on this one.
I gotta go with Mountain Man here. Go
you got
at West Virginia. West Virginia.
8 o'clock start.
Yeah.
And that's another place. People don't like playing at Mile and Push Star at 8 o'clock
right.
at night in Morgantown.
That's
It's
right, man.
a tough place to play.
It is. Who you got?
Oh, this is tough.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fan in me loves West Virginia. We got special uniforms coming out, coal, all this good stuff. Night game in Morgantown. We have blown a couple of those in our time, but we've also had some good outcomes. I would say it's a really good ball club. If we play the way we played the second half against Pitt, the way we played Kansas in the second half, and the way we dominate Oklahoma State, we win this game. So I'm going to, with my heart, I'm going West Virginia.
I felt like there was a lot of disclaimers before that.
Well, that's West Virginia football, baby.
So
That's how it
no
works.
disclaimers. You're going for West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Okay, all right.
My take on this one is West Virginia wasn't so much affected by what happened last week from the hurricane going up through there, but there's they've got a lot to play for in that general area, generally speaking. I mean, that's just kind of an emotional place up in that world right now.
It's us against the world.
Pretty much.
That's how it always is.
And my Mountaineers are dog shit this year, so I got to find a Mountaineer to pull for. West Virginia pulls you. And after last week, West Virginia pulls the upset. I think we're going to see every week a team go down that probably loses a game that shouldn't, and I think that's the game.
That number 11 has been a dangerous number this year. I think we've had a couple of 11s lose.
I'm going with the Mountaineers.
I'm going against the grain. I think Iowa State. I think they're coming in. They're playing Big Ten football, and they're going to play hard as hell.
I like it. Who you got, Cheeks?
I totally agree with Chief. Yeah. And every time I have picked West Virginia this year, I have lost. And the one time I picked against them, they won.
Yes.
So since I'm picking Iowa, I have just made all you WVU people win.
One last tidbit about this game. The quarterback of Iowa State is Rocco Beck. His old man was an all-pro tight end for the Jets, was a second-team All-American for West Virginia. At the game, they're going to put Rocco Beck's name up in the Ring of Honor.
How convenient.
Well, his son's playing for Iowa State.
How convenient.
So his son's playing for the other team, but his dad's going to West Virginia.
Little gamesmanship going on.
Oh, my God.
So, since the keys of the car were handed over to me, I get to do what the hell ever I want to do for a minute, right?
You do.
Okay, so before we kind of wrap
We're
things
talking
up,
the NHL?
no, everybody I'm going Eminem here. Everybody gets a freestyle for a minute, okay? So we'll go around the table. I've sprung this on you, so if you don't have something you want to move right on down the track, by all means, you can go right ahead and do so. This is Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. You can touch on anything you want to touch on before we move on and wrap this up. So, Mountain Man, is there a topic or something you want to touch on?
I just want to say how much I love October. If you're a sports fan, it's the greatest month out of all 12, right? Hockey starts tonight. If you're a hockey fan, great. If you're a baseball fan, we're seeing some great Major League Baseball players.
No, we're not the Mets are winning. That's dog crap.
Well, to
Yeah,
some.
I know. I want my Philly Red.
My little boy is a Mets fan.
Oh.
He's cheering his ass off in Hawaii.
You need to take it, boy, coach him up a little bit.
What do I know? I'm an Royals fan. What do I know? But I mean, October is so much fun. We got football every night until Thanksgiving night. There's this. Okay, if you're in the WNBA, I think they're in the playoffs right now. I mean, there's just sports going on everywhere. There's always something on. I love October. I like the leaves changing. It's my favorite month of the year for sports and for everything. And by the way, I do like pumpkin coffee. So y'all can kiss my ass out there.
Oh, I do too.
Oh, I'll eat pumpkin. Look, they ain't got. I want pumpkin beer. I want pumpkin ice
Pumpkin
cream.
beer.
I want
Yes!
pumpkin cheesecake. This one dude brought in some pumpkin flavored dip one day. I said, "No, I'm not going there." But that being said,
Oh,
I
no,
love
it's good.
pumpkin.
It's
I can take the fruit stuff. So,
Yeah.
Cheeks, what you got?
So we're a little concerned about some of our coaches. So I put together some of the professional coaches that are in trouble. One of the professional coaches is from the Cleveland Browns. I'm predicting that if they don't beat the Eagles this weekend, and they're not going to, he's going to be fired.
Can you blame him or blame the stupid contract that was signed with Deshaun Watson that they cannot unload? Nobody's going to take that
Yeah, but
contract.
who
I
falls
mean-
victim? The coach will fall victim.
Right.
It should be the GM.
You're exactly right.
It should be the GM who orchestrated that crap. You know what? Maybe if they let him go
And
down to
Deshaun
Jack Shack
Watson-
again, he might play a little bit.
And
I say
Deshaun
that.
has a public hissy fit, and everybody looks the other way.
Well, he did settle his legal problems today.
Who, Deshaun did?
His
Little
civil
hush money?
suit. I don't know.
Little hush
money?
Yeah, a lot of hush money.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
will say once before we move on, that one thing I'd heard it was pretty good. The reason he was successful down in Texas, they said they couldn't get him into a pro-style offense. They went to Clemson, talked to Dabo Swinney, said, "How did you get the most out of him?" And Texas actually implemented Clemson's offense into their offense to give him something he was comfortable on, and that's why. But when he went to Cleveland, they're like, "You're running what we run," and he cannot do it.
Well, Bill O'Brien's that kind of coach.
Absolutely.
He adapts. He adapts to you. You don't adapt to him. Yeah.
Who would have thought at this point in the season that we'd only have one undefeated SEC team?
And they're not even an SEC.
They're not
school.
even SEC,
Right.
right?
Right.
Who would have thought
Can
that?
you imagine what you're
Texas.
going to hear
Yeah.
if Texas goes undefeated through the SEC, wins the SEC?
Right.
God,
Who would have thought that? I would not.
They're undefeated.
I didn't
Don't, I
predict
don't
that.
even talk a word. I love it though.
And you guys are Mountaineers. You know that word.
Shut your mouth. You're right.
But to that point, though, looking at the SEC across the board, start to think about scenarios like, could a 3-loss team make it in?
Well, we've already said that. I mean, if you,
3-loss team.
Well, at the beginning of the year, we wouldn't have said that, but now
No.
we're like, let's readjust.
The Big 12 champion could have 3 losses.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
very
Oh,
possible.
yeah.
yeah, and what's disgusting is you're going to get to a Miami Clemson ACC, and both of them don't deserve to be in there,
No.
and they're both going to get in because they're going to have a pretty good record when they get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you just got to play good ball from that point on. It's possible. Any of these teams can play.
Strength of schedule is going to start to matter more and more.
Just like it did back in the 90s.
I think you're going this year not so much, but you moving forward, you're going to see that matter a lot into how we started the show. You're going to see them stop playing, give these small schools an opportunity because it's going to like Florida stopped playing all the small schools. It's like it hurts us when it comes down to pucker time because we've got this little weak schedule we're playing at this point.
What about a 2-loss Alabama team? They get left out there.
Again,
They don't get left
I don't know.
out.
It depends on what happens everywhere else.
And it depends who else they beat.
And I hope that doesn't happen because if that happens, then the SEC and Big Ten commissioners will start lobbying for a guarantee of 3 or 4 spots in the playoffs.
So
That's
here's
right.
what I don't think what they didn't foresee happening this year is when you got to the playoff system they had last year. It's basically you have all these teams that could put their stake in the ground and say we deserve to be in. This was supposed to eliminate that crap, and because of the chaos that has occurred this year, unless a couple teams lose a few more games, you really didn't accomplish much by expanding to therefore to where you say we take. Look, I always said all along, the group of 5 take them out. So really, you got so you take 4 in the group of 5. So you got 7 spots to argue over. People always said it's easier to argue over who's 10, 11, 12 than it is 2, 3, and 4. And this year, it may not be.
Yeah,
it really may not be.
I agree with
Well, that's why they're going to expand again.
Yeah, they're going to do it for money reasons. I've always said 16 is the sweet spot. I think when 1AA went past that, it was too many.
Yeah.
16 is your sweet spot. I've always thought that, and I think they'll ultimately go there.
Yeah.
Chief, you got anything on this one?
Not on that topic, but I got something. It's time. She talked about pro coaches. I think we need to talk about some college coaches. One particular one close to my heart, Mac Brown. Second time around, I don't think we've lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Mac Brown is Roy Williams. He's Mike Krzyzewski. He's Nick Saban. He's all these guys. The game is not played the way they know how to coach it. He's not going to go around and kiss a bunch of ass and throw a bunch of money. This is his last year. I mean, when they lost to James Madison, he was willing to walk away, and they said, no, that's a precursor. He's done. This game is not what he enjoys.
And I think that Johnson kid that broke his leg against Minnesota, I think that had a lot. I think he took that pretty hard.
Yeah, he did.
I think that would mess with him.
He hung his hat on that kid, and then here we are.
But just seeing that, I think that would. He ain't been the same in his interviews. It's almost been like sad Mike Brown. I kind of feel sorry for him. I really do.
How old is he?
He's up
He's
there.
up there. He's
So
70.
it's, retired.
Yeah,
Go enjoy your afterlife.
But I mean, he's done a good job his second go around there. It's just kind of getting away.
So
Yeah.
I got 2 slight freestyle Eminem moments, and I'll blow through them both because I know time becomes a constraint. We didn't talk about one of the probably more influential upsets that occurred this week. We've talked about the playoffs all along and going, hey, Alabama wins out, they still got a shot. Tennessee wins out, they still got a shot. The Red Hawks of Louisiana Monroe
Beat James Madison.
beat James Madison. James Madison's done. That affects the playoffs way more than all these other
Do we
losses.
find their Achilles heel?
No, they've got some. I think they were playing beyond what they should have been doing, and Monroe is much better today because of the quarterback General Booty, because they actually benched him. Monroe has been slowly and steadily getting a little bit better. I'm not saying they're going to win a national championship, but what's interesting is that was a huge upset in the Group of 5 world that now filters into my second point that I put up on our Facebook page. And guys, if you haven't, Guys' Bar Talking Sports Facebook, man, there's great discussions in there. There's great articles. Go in there, join that Facebook page. Hey, man, it's a free for all. As long as you're respectful, you can throw opinions around, you can argue. It's a fun place to play. And I so hope this happens. Number one, because I'm really not a Notre Dame fan.
Really? That's the first time I've heard that.
If you look at the schedules, it's realistic. If Army and Navy both can get past Notre Dame, their schedule's set up to where they could go undefeated, play in the American Championship game, and then play the very next week in the Americans Bowl against Army-Navy. How great would that be? Now,
Especially if they split those last.
and that would suck because if they split, neither one of them get in most likely.
But it kind of takes the luster away from the Army-Navy game, doesn't it? I mean, you're playing an exhibition game, and then you're playing a real game the following week.
We've seen.
I'd be hanging my hat on both.
They're going to move that. If that happens, that series gets moved back to Thanksgiving weekend, like it was many years ago.
And it probably
that
should
was
still
my
be
favorite,
there.
yeah.
But how great would that look? We're going back to Roger Staubach days, and we're having this conversation.
We're going back to when they used to
everybody.
play
Look,
Philadelphia.
I don't know anybody. Well, even if you're an Army or Navy true legit guy, even if you're an Air Force
we got
guy.
an ass kicked.
But the point being is,
I know it's my Navy.
if Navy loses to Army and Army gets in, they're going to hate they lost that game, but you're not going to see the bitterness, the hate about them moving on. I mean, it's a huge rivalry.
I'm going to tell you, there's some teams that will not want to see either one of them in the playoffs.
No, but they'll start running that wing T ball control stuff, and you don't play that. I mean, it's an equalizer.
That
It
Navy,
really,
that
really
Navy
is.
quarterback is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's not going in the transfer portal.
No.
Because he signed with Uncle.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
He's on the hook.
That's right.
The only way he gets out is if he gets drafted. I think that rule still stands.
All right, everybody.
That got repealed during Trump.
I thought he's the one to put that in place because of the
Let's
Army
just
guy.
not go into any war. How's that?
Well, guys, as we're sitting
Anyway.
here, and I've had the privilege of manning the show tonight, I hope everybody didn't mind my country bumpkin accent over the microphone. What's that?
What the fuck?
Oh, it's coming. I'm trying to get there. And like I said, I think we kept it on the rails pretty well. It didn't go down too many rabbit holes. The last time I did it, it went down a lot, but again, it makes it entertaining. So we're going to always wrap it up as we always do with what the fuck. So go ahead and guys, I'm going to say, Mountain Mama, what's your what the fuck?
I really don't have one. Just not a what the fuck, but the weather for one. I hate to see all the storms and all that kind of stuff. I just want to give a shout out to all my family and friends down in Tampa. Lived 14 years down there. we dodged the bullet every year. It seemed like the big one was coming, and it would always wobble and go north or go south. But I think no matter what kind of wobbling this thing does, there's going to be some serious damage down there. So just thinking about those folks.
And I'll dovetail off of that. Still, what's going up in Western North Carolina, that is a travesty. They've never seen anything like that. That one really does hit near and dear to me. So to dovetail off of that, I've got my own, but that's true right now because it's affecting way more than sports. At the end of the day, sports is just a place we like to play and have a good time, but life happens sometimes, and there's a lot of people suffering right now. There's going to be more starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, Chopper, what you got?
Roll Tide next.
Wait, what? Hold on. Don't blow past this. Let me preface for those that may be a first-time listener. This is an Auburn grad. That is a diehard. Oh, I mean,
He's a War Eagle guy.
I'm a little speechless right now. What I just heard. Do you have money on this game? Lord have mercy.
See what a week in Belize does to you?
Geez, yeah, he went down there and got. You didn't get some special brownies while you were down there, did you? Okay.
We got a lot of special brownies.
Cheeks, what you got?
So mine is based on the Cowboy. Mine is based on the Cowboys game the other night. They had a huge delay because of the weather against the Steelers, and so it went into the next day. And Dak Prescott unknowingly made the records books because he had 2 interceptions on 2 separate days, but the same game. So Sunday and Monday, he's got interceptions, but it was all from the same game against the Steelers. Way to go, Dak.
She, what you got?
So when the Vandy fans, all 500 of them, decided to take the goalpost. Thank you. Take the goalpost. I thought they were going to take it to the museum at Vanderbilt.
No.
Not take it down to the
Everybody takes
river.
it to the river.
No, you got to take it to the river.
You have to
Throw it in the
do it.
river. It's one of the things. Now, I did see a Facebook post earlier that made me laugh where they had superimposed it against the angel wings that are there in Nashville to get the picture took. I'm like, all right, that's pretty funny. I'm not going to lie. So,
Now I just got.
now you just because he saw it.
Way to go, Chopper.
So
I've
along
seen
with
my daughter take pictures.
So my what the fuck kind of dives off of that is, Nick Saban has always been one that's been kind of very upstanding. He really don't put his foot in his mouth a whole lot. He's got some definite sound bites.
Oh, he picked South Carolina this past weekend.
That ain't what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is him basically on air, on the record, on game day going, well, in the SEC, there's only one place you're not scared to play, and that's Vanderbilt. And then what ensued after that?
Well, why did he say that? Because there's always more of the opposing team
Well,
than the
it
home
doesn't
team.
matter,
And it
apparently.
was
But
true.
what I love about
So that's the
that
rap
is Vanderbilt, over their PA system, after the game, referenced
it.
that and says, yeah, you don't want to come here and play, do you,
They
Nick?
played,
Or something.
they played the clip from game day. I want the score.
Yeah, so
I want to know who was saving that, thinking that they might need that at the end of the game.
what's that?
That clip.
Oh.
Or did they just pull that
No,
out?
I know, man, you got media people now that can pull stuff up so fast, and they heard it because they had the late game, and they were like, and so then all of a sudden you just gave them the perfect opportunity to go, forget you. So, well, guys, thanks tonight for tuning in to Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. It's a privilege to get to do this tonight. Your man Hanger will be back from Savannah next week with the ball that he caught in the outfield for the Savannah Bananas. Like I said, listen to us every week. We enjoy doing this. For those in the path of a storm, you guys stay safe, get out of the way of it, and find a radio and enjoy your time not at work. And this is all of us wrapping up tonight at Guys at the Bar Talking Sports.
See ya.